Certainly.
Mm-hmm.
I think thinking about Hellenistic astrology, and I've tried ancient astrology. I read to like page 100 the first time and stopped because I was like, I'm not trying to devote all my time to learning this game. And then went back and like a year later and started from page 1 again and started through it again and made it like 200 and something before I was like, I petered out again. And it's like, why?
Uh-huh.
Well, that's an interesting question, right? And it's one that I've been wrestling with because on the one hand, I want to know, but on the other hand, I'm like, but these are old rules. There's too many of them. And it makes me think of a game. It's like every time I'm doing it, it's like, okay, I'm learning the rules of a game. That's what this is. It's like learning a very complicated game, and the rules for it, because there's all these rules. And I'm not saying that's not important and it's not valuable. It is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying that, and I want to know it all, and I want to know all of that information because it is where everything came from, and I am interested in the history of it. But it's at the same time, it's like you got to pick a side almost. Like if you're gonna just do the 7, and you're not gonna pay attention to Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, never mind the asteroids, right? Or Eris, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I just can't. To me, it's like how can you just not? It's like trying to put the genie back in the bottle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And why would you want to do that?
Yeah.
Why
Well,
would you want to? We know those planets exist.
mm-hmm.
It's just
Yeah.
because they destroy the 7-12 scheme.
Right.
Doesn't mean that you get to be like, well,
They
that
don't
fucks up our
belong.
plans,
They don't
dude.
belong. Yeah, like
Yeah.
just pretend like they're not there. They don't belong. They don't fit in with our schema and our
Yeah. And I'm like,
worldview.
you can't do that. You can't do that.
Because it's about synthesis. It's about integration, and if we're evolving and we're moving as humans to
Which
in
we
a
have
expand.
done.
We're in an
We
expanding
have done that.
universe. Yeah, we have.
We can't go back to Hellenistic Greece.
But I think too, so we don't want to get caught up in the romanticism of the past. But I think too, where we think about ideas like alchemy or the ideas that some of the, light and dark and the play of light and dark and the dance of polarities that goes to Indian philosophy and in Hindu, and, that there are certain intrinsic principles or laws of the universe, that these rules are made up of or made from eternal components or aspects of man's relationship to the divine and to the cosmos and
The
to other
Prisca
man.
Theologia that
Right.
I
And
referenced earlier.
is that,
That's what you're talking about.
right. So then it's like, it's relevant in the way that it's relevant changes, and the way that the principles apply change. It's like you can't do alchemy in the same way that you did alchemy when we were living in a much denser reality, or at least what we think was a denser reality. Although, like, that's the other thing about going back to like these ancient civilizations, is that they were probably far more advanced than we give them credit for too. So there's that. But, in hindsight, looking back and saying, okay, this is the way that the alchemists did this then, before they had psychology, what was going on. And I think that's something that like Jung,
Or
looked at a lot.
microscopes, for that matter.
Or microscopes. Like that's a good scientific like comparison or like parallel. Yeah. Because what they're
Chemistry, alchemy.
right. And it's like, but the chemistry is happening on all levels. And we know so much. We understand so differently about the nature of internal reality now that I think, you know, we have to change the way that we're going to practice or apply any of these ancient ideas or principles. And so maybe some of the being able to bring that torch from the past and into the future, like Aquarians like to do, is like, okay, what's the part of the thread that gets to where does the fire get to keep burning, but how does it change in the nature of what it how it's functioning, because I don't know, I think that there is some kind of timeless wisdom
Oh,
maybe, but,
yeah.
that could be me and my Sagittarius moon. Um, and
Well,
I
there's
know
the
that's not what
balance
you.
always, right? It's
Uh-huh.
the
Mhm,
balance between, yes, the ancient old is better, and then the new is better and necessary. That's the
mhm,
thing.
mhm.
The new is necessary. Like,
But we never annihilate. Right.
it's not that the old is wrong or bad, or it's both. Like, there are certain things about that were uncovered in the past
Mhm,
about
mhm,
nature, you know, the nature of man, our spirituality, like our spiritual reality. Like, does that change? You know what I mean? Like, so some things,
mhm.
no, they probably don't change,
Right,
right? But our engagement with them does change,
right,
and
yeah,
the way we perceive things change,
yeah. And
and the
linguistics,
technical,
like, language changes, language and yeah, and
and
like you
so
said, the
therefore
technical.
reality.
Uh-huh,
That's
right,
the true, like, language.
right.
Like, we define reality. That's the magic of language.
Yep,
That's
absolutely.
you
Mhm,
can literally change reality. I mean, that's what 1984 and Newspeak was all about, right? Changing reality based on changing the definition of words. I mean, that is true.
yeah,
The
yeah,
postmodern critique is not wrong. It's just
right,
not
right,
complete.
yeah.
Just because you can do something doesn't mean it's advisable, right?
Mhm,
Just because we
mhm,
can, yeah, you can change reality. You can make reality hell
mhm,
if you want, by changing, your perceptions and changing the definitions of words, or you can make a heaven. But realistically, you're probably gonna end up in the middle of where we're
mhm,
stuck.
mhm. Yeah,
So it's like
yeah,
you might as well embrace the middle, because, like, and that's sort of a philosophical. That's a very Buddhist thing, right? The middle path, because we're bound to that already anyway, right? Ananke has her our neck in a collar, yoked to
mhm,
necessity, and it's in the middle. It's not.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it made me think of that image of Ananke when you described the closing off of the was it the Alembic? Um,
Oh, the seal of Hermes.
uh-huh. It made me think of Ananke with that because it had a similar,
Yeah,
um
closing the neck. Yeah, sure.
mhm, mhm. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
constricting the throat.
right, right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the
and
yoke around the neck, right? It's such a powerful, and you see that in the card, the Devil card, right?
mhm,
And
mhm,
you see the two human figures chained to the devil around. They're chained by a collar around their neck. They're chained to the devil that way,
mhm,
you know.
mhm.
But that's
Right,
also that's necessity.
right. Yeah.
It's by necessity that we're chained like that. And so, um, to bring it back to astrology,
Mhm,
though, and I find it interesting. Aquarius is it kind of shares that with, I guess, Libra and Gemini both. It must be an air thing. The contradictory nature. It's like,
mhm,
Athena's sword being double edged, right? It's
mhm,
good and bad,
mhm,
like cut both ways.
mhm, mhm.
But like with Aquarius, it's like the battleground of Prometheus and Kronos, Saturn, right? Uranus and Saturn. It's like they're doing battle in Aquarius, and and well, Saturn is conservative, right? And Uranus is progressive, and they're fighting for the same territory that's Aquarius, and it happens to be the age we're moving into is the age of Aquarius, right? So it's very rich symbolically. But as an Aquarian, I constantly feel that battle going on in my psyche, because my Sun and my Mercury are in Aquarius,
Mhm,
this contested area. And it also happens to be the Sun's detriment,
mhm.
which adds another layer of confusion in a way. It's like because the sun's in detriment, right? So it's like your sun as an Aquarian, it's like your sun just can't lift off in a way.
Mm.
It's
Yeah.
like a because Saturn's constantly pulling at it, pulling it back down to Earth, and Uranus is constantly pulling it out into space. And so you're being ripped in two. You know, that
Mhm.
energy's ripping you in two as an Aquarian. So that all
Mhm.
the contradictory, confusing, nature of Aquarius is because of that battle, I feel like.
Uh-huh.
And
Right.
there you find where I'm at in it's like the traditional 7. I get all of the science, the ancient science of mathematics and geometry. That's why that's so important and why you can't destroy it.
Right.
Saturnian in that way.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
then Uranus is like, you know, I'm pushing big red button. It's gonna detonate a nuclear bomb
Yeah.
and blow this shit up. It's the tower, you know.
Right.
And what
Yeah.
are you gonna do then?
Mhm. Mhm.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it's interesting. I think that's a really interesting point too about how different Saturn as the traditional ruler and then Uranus as the modern ruler
Yes.
are
That's why I brought that
for
up, I think.
Aquarius. Yeah. And because too, it's the image of the boundary of Saturn as um the authority or the like you said conservative kind of energy that holds the society or families or whatever it might be, a business in place. It's like that structuring principle that with Uranus or the other aspect of Aquarius, it's like that it's on the fringe, it's on the outside of the boundary, but it's
Mhm.
constantly trying to kind of Saturn needs Aquarius, or Saturn needs Uranus, right? To be able to, otherwise it will get so, um, what's the word?
Calcified.
Yeah, like stagnated and,
Mhm.
um,
Calcification, right,
mhm,
in the
mm,
psychological
mhm,
terminology.
mhm, yeah, yeah, so, but it
Stuck.
exists. Right, but, like, Aquarius is forever like, Uranus energy is forever, like, married to Saturn. Without Saturn, what does Uranus have to rebel against? Like, Uranus needs Saturn, or there's no iconoclasm. There's no uh, you know, uh, like rebel, because what are you rebelling against? The relationship is so interconnected, as much as those two energies are so different and constantly kind of in this dynamic um, process to um,
And see, that's all very interesting to me because it feels like present
mhm,
for
mhm. Well,
humanity,
yeah.
not Hellenistic. And
Mhm,
you can't even have this conversation without Uranus,
mhm, mhm.
right? Which the
Yeah.
ancients didn't even know about.
Right, right. That's right, yeah. And so was Uranus a principle? Like, as a planetary energy, it was, because there was the mythology of Uranus, right? Like Prometheus.
Prometheus, yeah, which again, like I've mentioned before, Uranus should have been called Prometheus because it really is more. Prometheus is what that planet is. You know, the
Mhm.
energy of it. Anyway,
Yeah, yeah,
so yeah, so it's like there's two astrologies. Well, there's hundreds of astrologies, but I mean,
yeah.
with my affair with Hellenistic astrology, ironically, you know, as I proclaim myself a Hellenistic pagan. But
Mhm,
see, that's
mhm,
that's not astrology though, right? That's a relationship with the gods. So that's like that's more religion.
mhm,
Yeah, and it's like astrology's not religion.
mhm.
But
Yeah.
it sure does like just slide right on in there, doesn't it? And it's like it's occupying all the same places. I don't know. Maybe that's the Prisca Theologia now, as astrology holds that space because you can apply astrology in any religion. Like it doesn't.
Mhm,
We talked about this before, right? Well, why isn't astrology a religion? Well, it doesn't have a creation myth. It doesn't have morals
Yeah. That
and
was our
ethics.
first episode. What wasn't
Yeah,
it?
we're kind of
Mhm.
where we started. Sure.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, so yeah, that I would say that defines my constant engagement with astrology is in Aquarius,
Mhm.
in
Yeah.
that marginal region, the mad scientific, theoretical, but also, yeah, progressive
Mhm.
um movement of I constantly just want to be like I have great respect for Hermes Trismegistus, right?
Mhm.
For Hermeticism, for
Yeah.
alchemy, for the occult of the past.
Mhm.
And there's a like I'm not Plato or Pythagoras or Aristotle,
Mhm.
right? Like these are gods among men,
Mhm.
for a good reason. I'm just a college dropout flunky. Like I'm a thrice greatest flunky, you know, in relation to these kind of figures, you know what I mean? So like what do I know compared to what they knew? So but what I can say is that I also know a lot they didn't know because I'm a modern. We
Mhm.
all, at least all the ones
Perspective.
of us that still think,
Mhm.
and don't just sell our soul to the methamphetamine induced, Hermes that we talked about
Right.
before. Like those of us who still think, like we know a lot more now than they
Mhm.
knew. That doesn't make us better though.
Right. So I'm trying to find this. I would love to read the last part. There's a person that people might know of who this is, Fida Fadel. But she posts some on astrology. And when you were talking, it just made me think of the last lines of this because, um, you mentioned it's beyond kind of the left or the right, and the current kind of environment and ideological battle and war that we're currently in. But she talks about, it says, and this is to your point about the future, and it's broader than astrology, but I think it's also the astrology is speaking to what the future holds with the age of Aquarius. And I think this is segueing into a conversation that I really want to have about Aquarius. And I don't know, maybe we do it a different day. Maybe, we can do that. But I want to read this to you. She says, the future won't orbit ideologies. It will be built by those who refused the entire dialectic, who walked off the stage, who uninstalled the theater from their nervous system, who saw clearly, grieved fully, and then built structures worthy of the real. They won't be the loudest in the room, not the activists, theorists, or leaders by name. They'll be the post performers with no myth to defend, no self to sell, metabolically sovereign. They will not rally or chant or beg institutions for reform. They will build, and they will build from voltage that was once unbearable. They will be the new architects of the real. And then it says the only part that matters is the ungovernable real, and that can't be performed, only lived. So I mean, I like that because it ties in with the digitalization of so much that new constructs are going to be created around what is absolutely furthest from the real. And, so we should definitely keep it real. um
Well, that's my other half. I mean,
mhm,
what's more keeping it real than splitting bamboo and stripping kudzu and putting them back together to make a basket?
mhm,
Like the very
mhm,
real primal
mhm,
earth thing, right?
mhm,
That's also technology and also useful. I mean,
mhm,
but
mhm. Yeah.
also engaging with nature like that, right? Like it's like a real engagement with it.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
Your black mirror can't make a basket.
Right,
Of
right.
course, most people would be like, well, fine, go buy a $5 bucket at Lowe's. What do you need to make a basket for,
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
because it doesn't apply anymore to the who gives a shit about baskets when we're talking about the singularity.
Yeah. Right.
You don't need a
Yeah.
basket when you're downloaded into the internet.
Right, right. No, and I think that's, like, with the age of Aquarius and the mention and even the idea of the nervous system, and the importance of the nervous system because we are in the middle of eclipses right now. We're between, the eclipse in Pisces and the new moon eclipse coming up on the 21st, is it? In Virgo, 29-degree Virgo eclipse. Um
That's like right at the equinox.
yeah. Yeah. And it's opposing Saturn. So the new moon eclipse at 29 degrees will be opposing Saturn at 28 degrees Pisces.
Didn't we just
And
have one of those though? We didn't have to. We just that was a lunar or a solar
yeah,
eclipse though.
the one we had
It was
uh,
in the
uh
southern hemisphere, I believe, where that was visible. But we just had one like a week or two ago, two
yeah,
weeks
that was
ago.
a lunar, a partial lunar eclipse, I think, in Pisces.
Yeah, but
And
that was the
now
opposite from the one in March. But actually, it
oh
sounds like the one
right.
coming up is going to be the one that's going to be would be opposing that the complete opposite, right?
Right, cuz
Where
you're
the moon's going to be in Pisces.
it was that lunar eclipse in Virgo that you had, like, the really
Yeah.
profound kind of experience with. So, yeah, this one will be opposing that. Uh,
And
yeah.
there's another interesting thing I was thinking about this morning with that Alexander the Great. There was
Uh.
the eclipse with the moon, but it was in the moon was in Pisces.
Okay. Well,
So
that's
that
the one
this
we
eclipse coming up is going to be. I wonder if it would have to be of the same Saros family as
well,
that
we j
eclipse.
maybe if it's possible to find out because the lunar eclipse in Pisces was the one we had that we're coming off of on the 7th.
Yeah,
On the 7th of September, it was 15 degrees Pisces,
yeah,
total lunar eclipse. Yeah. Um,
that was a couple weeks ago.
uh-huh.
But you're
Yeah.
saying there's going to be another one in Pisces in late
There
Pisces.
is there's actually no, I don't think so. Not anytime in the near future because the
Yeah, so
next
the one
eclipse.
that the one that happened on the 7th, that was the one that was the opposite of the one in March.
Right, that's yeah, right, yeah. But this one, well, the one in March wasn't that a lunar eclipse in
Uh-huh. The
was
moon
it
was
in
in Virgo.
oh, it was in Virgo, so the one on the 7th was the one like, opposite
Right.
of that one. But the one that's coming up is at, uh 29 degrees Virgo, and it's on September 21st. This in just a few, like, what, 4 days?
Yeah. And the
Um,
22nd is the equinox.
and the 22nd is the
So
equinox.
that speaks to me, that's gonna be pretty powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah. It does feel really powerful. Um,
Yeah,
and
all
that's
the
so
moon stuff, that's oh man, the Saros cycle and all the eclipse cycles and like I don't know enough. I've been starting on
uh-huh.
that and like I need to understand more, but it's very keeping
Mm.
up with the moon is complicated. It's very difficult to keep up with the moon's like even just the lived experience of like it still baffles me. Like I'll
Mhm.
know what where the moon is and like what phase it's in, but like when can you see it? You know?
Mhm.
When
Mhm.
is it actually up and you can see it during the
Yeah.
day? Because usually I believe it's a waxing or a waning moon that you see in the daytime.
Uh-huh. Huh.
But then I swear sometimes it's like a waxing moon that I see. It's like it's mysterious like that,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
when
Yeah,
you can see it.
yeah, and to go back to that, like, thought being the moon god, that's he's always depicted with like an image of the full moon or like the moon where the moon is in the moon cycle, like different, progressions of the moon throughout the moon cycle. But yeah, it's very, and the moon card is incredibly mysterious and it's kind of almost like living with a woman, right? Like the feminine is like always like you're like from the feedback I get, it's that, that they're hard to kind of figure out because of the lunar nature. And um yeah, it's cool though because we're in that like this window of time from the 7th to the 21st. I've That's so cool what you said about the Alexander. I didn't know that. Alexander, there was an important eclipse in Pisces. Is that what you said?
Yes. I'm not gonna be able to find it
Yeah.
now. I know
Okay.
I
Well,
photocopied the page. I think it was in one of Nick Campion's books where I read about it.
it's just an interesting synchronicity because it came up in today's conversation, and, I would
Mhm.
just be curious about that because
Yeah, it's one thing I've been curious about it because when I saw it, I discovered that
Uh-huh.
around that eclipse in March
Oh,
with the moon in
okay.
Virgo. I just when I
Uh,
found out and I was like, "Holy shit, there was this famous lunar eclipse that happened." I wanna say it was when Alexander took like, Persia. Let's see what AI brings up for us. A
okay.
significant lunar eclipse occurred on September 20th, 331 BCE, just days before the decisive Battle of Gaugamela, where Alexander the Great's forces defeated the Persian king Darius III. That's the king I was talking about. The quote blood moon end quote was widely seen by both armies and was considered a powerful though potentially frightening omen, boosting morale for Alexander's men while possibly causing alarm among the Persians. This astronomical event provided a crucial anchor point for historical chronologies and is documented in ancient Babylonian astronomical text and later classical historical accounts.
Huh. I
And
think we
so
should
that was September 20th, 331 BCE.
yeah, so there was a total lunar eclipse on September 20th, 331 BC. The sun was at 22 degrees Virgo, and it conjunct the north node at 26, so it was a pretty close conjunction, and the moon was at 22 degrees Pisces, so it was a sun moon. Yeah, it was a total. You want me to show you the do you wanna and the location is wrong, by the way, but I don't think that matters too much because I don't know,
Because,
unless you think I need to fix it. Should I put Egypt
um,
or
well, it
Alexandria?
wouldn't, that doesn't matter.
Okay,
We,
okay.
we, we don't, yeah, I'm just interested in where the planets and the lunar nodes and all. Because, let's see, between the death of Alexander the Great, 323 BC is when Alexander died. So this was 8 years before Alexander died.
Well,
So
and
26
Mars was
Virgo.
right there. Mars was right there too, interestingly, in the Persian when he was about to defeat the Persian army.
Yeah, so this thing here that I'll see, the lunar eclipse of September 20th, 331 BCE occurred just before the Battle of Gaugamela between Alexander the Great and Darius III, and astrologers interpreted its blood red color as a sign of the impending bloodshed by a victory for Alexander. The eclipse was seen as a portent of Darius's defeat, though not Alexander's army. This event was recorded by Babylonian astronomers and was considered to have played a significant role in the outcome of the battle, with Alexander's astrologer Aristander using the eclipse to predict a Macedonian victory. Because so the moon was 22 degrees
Yeah.
of Pisces.
Mhm.
So yeah, just 7 degrees away.
Mhm. Mhm.
Any,
Pretty
at any
close.
rate, whether it's the same Saros family or not, which I can't even speak to like the technical, I don't know enough. Like
It's
I'm
a
not
good
Gemini Brit,
question. Yeah,
so
but it would be an interesting thing to, like, find out exactly, like, define further because it is very interesting, and it came up
yeah,
synchronistically, like, in the Hermes tri it came this isn't it's just an interesting synchronicity to me. So, it makes me wonder
sure.
what's happening, like, in the
Well, you want
larger
to take that down now so that we're
yeah,
not.
yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
to.
Mhm.
I just so often we leave it up and it's just we keep talking
Yeah,
and there's this chart we're not talking about anymore. So which
right.
maybe we're still going to talk about it. I don't know, but
Yeah,
um,
it's all good. Mhm. So, yeah.
yeah. So, but you were making a point about a while ago when this came up about how we're in this eclipse season. I don't know
Mhm.
if do you have any. Do you remember where you were going with all that?
Yeah, I think so. That I think, and it speaks to the intuitive, I guess, feeling that very big shifts are happening with the both the eclipse energy and the Aquarian, um, with the collective. I won't call it the Aquarian, although those two are kind of synonymous to me sometimes, especially with Pluto now being solidly in there. But the collective shift and the nerve like, the breakdown of certain systems that I believe are going to wreak difficulty, and I'm not trying to be doomsdayish or whatever, but I just think, like, people's nervous systems are going to be in overdrive, right, with some of the changes. I mean, I'm not even gonna say, like I won't even put that in positive or negative terms, but the challenges and the technological overload and the kind of geopolitical climate and shifts of power and, some of what's happening, you would say mundanely in astrology, right? I wonder and think and feel and sense that people's nervous systems are going to be becoming very overshot and that they will start to seek like solutions to calm themselves through some of the uncertainty, and the mind alone isn't going to solve the problem. And I mean, that's my sense, is that the intellect isn't going to bring a calibration of the soul. And so people, in a little bit of a similar way, and I don't mean this in terms of like event based or like predictive by at all, but just how like the change with COVID made force people to go to places within that they may not have ever had to go before. It's like to find a solution that they couldn't find like out there, so it's just that idea of like, where I feel like preparing for a change of how to navigate the age of Aquarius. It's like, how are we going to be navigating this new age that we're solidly in, and like, you know um I don't know. So that was really all I was going to say about that.
Well, it's a good juxtaposition here. I thought about this earlier and just never got around to talking about it. When we're talking about the ancients and what they know
Mhm.
and how astrology came to be what it
Mhm.
is, and how, we know more than they do in a lot of ways, but in a lot of ways we know less. And I think the thing that distinguishes the ancients, so say from Alexandrian Egypt, the
Mhm.
Hellenistic period, is that it seems to me like they were less distracted,
Okay.
right? Like there was less that would distract somebody back then.
Mhm. Mhm.
As far as like in a uh nervous system kind of way. Like
Uh-huh.
uh
Right.
like now we're so overstimulated
Mhm.
in this way of electronic world overstimulation.
Mhm.
But in a lot of ways, we're severely understimulated, like in ways that really matter. Like,
Right.
what bird is that making that
Mhm.
sound, right?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Or what is that sound? It's
Uh-huh.
like, or like naturally, like, or
Environmental awareness
where
and
do I get
intelligence.
water? When do I get it? Like,
Uh-huh.
where am I going to get food? Like, how is my dwelling?
Mhm.
Like, how did it come to be? Like, as in, it was constructed using natural materials that like very raw,
Mhm.
not industrialized.
Mhm.
Do you see what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Like,
I do. Yeah.
and so what they knew, it's like in a way, the mind then could really drill down deeply
Mm.
in fundamental ways that we can't, or that we have to really, really discipline ourselves and dedicate ourselves to, because
Right.
there's so much distraction now,
Yeah.
right? And then there wasn't.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm not saying it was better then. I'm not trying to
No,
correlate like that.
I think it's a really good point. I think that's a really interesting point. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's like most of the things that they discovered about the nature of reality are going to ring more true in a lasting way than our reality, because our reality now is a construct of the last, I mean, petroleum. So like 100, because it's really petroleum didn't really get going big until what, mid 1800, and the railroads like that's like 1800s, mid 1800s, around the time of the Civil War. But even then we're talking about railroads, so that world is closer to Alexandrian Egypt than we
Mhm.
are now, I would say, like, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Because now,
It was requiring natural resources in a way. And
yeah, well,
now.
now 90 plus% of everything is made out of petroleum.
Mhm.
and dependent on petroleum.
Yeah.
And so I don't wanna go too far out and lose people with my thread here, because I feel like I may be too far out into the clouds at this point, but,
No, but
um
I hear you, and and what you're saying, I think of it a little bit like we've got so much more of a privilege to be able to, fill our minds with, like, chitta or, like, monkey distraction that we could very well, like, lose the grounding, speaking of, right?
yes.
And not even notice that we've lost, like, the fundamental survival, like, skill and ability and
Earth element.
right, earth,
Earth
right.
element. That's the thing. That's it.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
constantly have known and focused on and realized, and a lot of my epiphanies come with
Mhm,
meditating on the earth element and the
mm.
pentacle, right?
Yeah,
The
yeah,
cards in the tarot, the pentacles, like just earth in general, the earth element, because that is what is so in danger now with modern man, of to the point where most people just have no concept of it. The closest
mm,
people get now is like you might have your little fun little hobby garden,
right, right.
and you tell yourself you're gonna survive the apocalypse with your couple tomato plants. Like, no, you're not.
Yeah,
First of all. And second of
yeah,
all, you're not producing the food that sustains you. I'm not saying it's gardening's great. You should garden. It's a great hobby. Like,
yeah,
more of us should do it. I'm not saying
right.
anything bad. I'm just saying
The
that's the
gardeners are gonna come
closest.
after you, Aaron. The
Yeah.
they're coming after you.
The
Yeah.
closest what I'm saying is, like, for the most part, the closest thing to nature that the majority of Earth type people
Okay.
plugged into the modern day civilization do is gardening, right?
Right,
Or maybe they go hiking. You go and you
right.
visit
Yeah.
nature, you know, and on a more esoteric, spiritual level, what is the earth element, right? Why is it so important? And arguably it is the most important, because we, earth is our home,
Mhm,
you know?
mhm.
We're not
Yeah,
gonna go live on in Mars. And even if we did go live on Mars, then that's also gonna be the earth element. Like, it's
right.
the ground beneath us, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And it's the symbol that the pentacles in the tarot, like, it's the symbol that houses magic, you know? The pentacle, it's in the earth element.
right. And that's where I think that the excitement around, like, even the understanding of astrology's relationship to alchemy and hermetics comes in for me, as it coincides with what I realize and makes this comes back to the podcast, to Chiron's cave title, and the fact that in July of 2026, Chiron is gonna move into and make its return to the sign of Taurus, right? And how maybe, maybe there's a hopeful maybe that there will be something really positive and good about Chiron's return to Taurus and the healing and this, the significations of healing and connection to the earth energy and earth element as a way of healing during that time or
And
starting.
for the listener, I know what you're referring
Mhm,
to.
mhm, yeah.
And this cycle, this Chiron cycle, is because when Chiron was discovered in 1977, it was in Taurus,
Mhm.
right? So we haven't even made Chiron hasn't even made one orbit yet since we've discovered it. And you're referring to its return to Taurus, where it was when it was discovered,
Mhm. Right,
right?
yeah. Right,
Yeah.
right. And
Yeah, and that's
that's
a good point.
mm,
The astrology of that, like, it's
mm,
like,
mm,
yeah, it's pointing kind of to what I'm pointing at, and maybe to
mhm,
what the Chiron's cave, because it's a cave, right? I mean, a cave is very chthonic, like, it's
mhm, mhm,
inside the mother, like, in the
mhm,
earth, you know what I mean? Like, you're going underground in a way, like, in the mountain or whatever, like, you're going into the womb of Gaia in a cave, right?
mhm,
Symbolically.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, yeah. So maybe there will be some, maybe we'll start coming live from a cave, but also there'll be some, like, healing in a physical kind of embodied there will be a leaning into maybe more embodiment and more real, at
Well,
least as
embodiment, there's that term again too, because with AI, right? That's the thing AI can't be is embodied.
right, right, right. Yeah.
Yeah, and
So
it's like what's so important is embodiment for us.
mhm, mhm. Yeah. Yeah, and I would say even, like, for humanity as a whole and, like, the the message is is clear as an alternative to disembodiment and that when the mind becomes so frantic and so overstimulated and the nervous system becomes so dysregulated that how do you return to any kind of regulation? It's going to be through Tarian, you know, or Chiron's m- m- dual aspect or the physical aspect of how we heal ourselves or how we connect to our body, to our actual physicality in a way that balances some of the extreme, you know, Uranus and Gemini stuff, you know? So,
Yeah, and
um,
again, you see too with Chiron, right? The above and below too, bringing it back
mhm.
to Hermes Trismegistus and the Emerald
Mm.
Tablet, and as above, so below, right? Like that's Chiron. He's above and below, right? Like his
Yes.
human side is the spirit above, and his animal side is the soul below,
Yeah.
right? Because the
Yeah.
spirit wants to ascend, and the soul wants to descend.
Right.
The
Yeah.
soul, the soul belongs in Hades. Like that's where the soul comes from, Hades.
Right.
You know,
Right.
the
Right.
psyche is cold.
Uh huh. Uh huh. Yeah, and even that going that idea of going back to, like, the Hindu, like, angels and demons, that they weren't good or bad, but they represented the material and the spiritual facet of life and how those 2 are, interconnected and, um, yeah,
Yeah,
there was
material's
something.
not bad.
Uh-huh, right,
It's
and
necessity.
mhm, and
We
so is
pass
that, like
beneath the throne of necessity as we come back here to the
mhm.
physical,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and there's that, like, kind of that devil image again too with, like, necessity and the material aspect of nature that in many ways we wanna renounce because we have this there's this general idea that, like, if we can get high enough into the intellect, if we can advance far enough with technology, eventually we won't need our bodies anymore. Pluto and
That's the spirit
Aquarius. Yeah.
ascension. Yep. That's the
Right,
thing.
right.
That's why we're so unbalanced now, right? It's because
And then
that is what,
Icarus. Uh-huh.
yeah. The
Uh-huh.
pure, poor
Mhm.
Eternus, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Flitting away,
Mhm.
up and away. Yeah.
Mhm.
And yeah,
Mhm.
like Icarus, well, you're gonna burn up and fall back down.
Yeah, and
And
that's the falling back down and the burning and the falling back down image is where when people find themselves, that's where I think, like, the real chironic work can begin, you know? Because there will be a lot of falling and a lot and I don't hopefully not in a tower way, but yeah.
well, for an individual, it is a tower moment, right? Like
Mhm. Mhm.
that
Right.
hubris,
Mhm.
which if the singularity is not the type of hubris, then I don't know what hubris means. Because
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
to think that's literally the definition of hubris is to be bigger than the gods, and that's the gods are immortal, right? We are mortal. And that's what separates the gods from the mortals. Like that
Mhm.
we die and they don't.
Mhm. Mhm. Right.
We have to die. It's necessity.
Mhm.
Yeah. And probably because the soul needs to return, you know. Um, but there's a lot there in the idea of between spirit and soul.
Mhm.
And I think a lot about the soul because that's what James Hillman was all about. And I read a lot of James Hillman and study James Hillman, and he was about soul making,
Mhm.
soul
Right.
work. And it's interesting because, saying the soul is from Hades, right? The underworld.
Mhm.
So it's like the descent, Psyche's descent, into the underworld, um, is it's vital and it's imagistic.
And, I think when you mentioned kind of going back to that, uh, the quote that's attributed to Hermes, that, as above, so below, I was thinking about like the thrice great, and you described like the three aspects, and it's not an
Mhm.
exact fit, but it also makes me think about the three different ways that Chiron was wounded and how,
Hmm.
there was like a threefold aspect to Chiron as a healer as well, like physical, spiritual, and what was the third one? But Liz Green talks about it in her book, um,
Oh,
Chiron
I
and
remember.
Love.
Yeah, I remember the
Um,
point I was gonna make now too.
okay, yeah, go for it.
What I was going, it was matter.
Uh
You
huh.
because you said,
Mm,
I think you said something like it matters when I was talking about, and I'm like, the word matter
uh huh.
is the root is mother, is
Mm,
materiality, is
mm,
the earth
okay.
god, is matter,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking
Yep.
about necessity and the
Right.
soul
Right.
and the earth element, you know,
Uh
and
huh.
all of those things are connected, because the soul, Hades is like beneath the earth, right? Like it's underground, but you have to have
Mm-hmm.
the ground there, right? It's like it belongs to the earth. Hades
Mm-hmm.
does, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's not Olympus. It's not the heavens that
Mm-hmm.
belong to the sky and they belong to the spirit. It's the ascension. Yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
the magician like pointing up
Mm-hmm.
and down, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's Hermes in the
Mm,
tarot.
uh
Hermes
huh.
Trismegistus may as well be pointing up and down. And what was he known for? He was known for the matters of spirit and matters of materiality and
Right.
the interplay between the two.
Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm. Right. Right. And the light and the dark, and
But
how
it's
that.
not just about the ascension, though. See,
Mm,
it's as above, so below. Like it's not just like the planets are mirroring down here on Earth. It's like
mm,
both
mhm.
are necessary.
The creative function, would you say that the creative function could go both ways as well? Like one is
I'm saying
creating
we
the
have
other?
I'm saying the spirit and the soul are two different things. They have different priorities and they have different goals.
Mhm,
And I'm saying that our current society, our civilization now, presently, has has completely abandoned soul making. And that's Hillman's whole project.
mm,
Like we've completely abandoned soul making and it's all about the spirit now.
mm,
It
mhm,
has been
mhm,
since like that's what the Christianity essentially, which is ironic, seeing as how Jesus was the Dionysus, who was the god that was born in Hades. For I mean, for Christ's
yeah,
sake, like,
yeah.
for Dionysian's sake. I mean, it's very ironic, but
Yeah.
but yeah, the Christians became all about the spirit, and so that's how you see Pan, the great god Pan, get demonized and turned into
Mhm.
this evil thing,
Right,
this
right.
goatish, thing, because goats are very chthonic, they're very. That's why Athena, she couldn't stand goats.
Ah,
She
really?
hated goats. Her
Ah,
Yeah,
because
her
it's like
animal is
the
an owl
antithesis. Right, it's like the antithesis of the spirit in a way,
of
right?
mind. Yeah, and the spirit is
Uh-huh,
mind, right? And
uh-huh,
then Earth is not mind. It's sensuality. It's
mhm,
sensorial. It's
mhm,
matter. It's the
mhm,
mother. And how do we come back into this material reality? Through the womb, right? The
right,
cave of the mother. We exit the
mhm.
cave of matter into it. That's how we get into matter. You know what I mean?
Right, right, absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
And
Yeah,
what comes with us is the soul
right. Yeah, and that the
and
soul
the
has.
spirit.
But the soul was, like, largely kind of disavowed and abandoned. And so it's like the soul making of, or the soul birthing, if you want to, like, with from the Hillman kind of standpoint, that it requires something of us. And even like Chiron, where Liz Green talks a little bit about like the Chironic sacrifice, that sometimes there's a sacrifice that has to be made in order to give birth to your soul, to your own soul. I mean, she doesn't put, I'm conflating those two ideas together, but that there could be a sacrifice that is required in order to make your soul, or to find your soul, or, um, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's you have to descend.
Mhm,
But
mhm.
so, right, to like
Ah,
all
right,
of
right,
the
right.
like
And through that
Orpheus
suffering.
descending, Psyche descending, Heracles descending, Theseus descending. I think
Right.
like you know,
Yeah, and
the
that
hero's
that that
journey down.
and that there's a suffering. It's like like that fall, like Icarus, and that landing on the earth and the suffering that comes from it is actually the beginning of maybe even like the soul making, but it's a requirement perhaps, like you said.
Yeah, see, that's the spirit falling,
Mhm,
right? Down to
mhm,
earth.
mhm,
See? That's not the
mhm,
soul falling though, right? The soul gets pulled up out
uh-huh.
of the underground into daylight, and it doesn't wanna be there, it wants to be in the underground. But the
So,
spirit wants to be up it wants to be up in the sun, you know?
well,
It
let me
wants to
let me
be in the
ask
sun.
let me ask you this then. So in following that metaphor, right? That image of the soul or the spirit descends, it lands. The where how does the soul, like, what pulls the soul up? What pulls the soul up?
I would say the same thing that pulls the spirit down.
Mhm.
Because
Hmm.
we exist on the earth.
Uh-huh.
It's in between the above and below.
Mhm. Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's the middle
Uh-huh.
between the
Right.
2 worlds. The
Yeah.
spirit comes from above and the soul comes from below. So the soul is pulled up at birth and the spirit is pulled down into matter. But they're both pulled into matter. I guess I just feel like the soul is more connected to matter because
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. I
it's coming the underground. It's like the underground is more connected to the above ground than the above ground is connected to the ground, if that makes any sense. Like we're
Yeah,
more
it
because
does. It does.
because there we're from the earth, right? We're
Uh-huh.
creatures of the earth.
Mhm. Mhm.
So we're where we're supposed to be. The spirit, it's like the spirit is the thing that's foreign here on earth, right? It's the thing that
Mhm.
wants to go to Mars, or
Mhm.
it's the thing that wants to ascend,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
The soul doesn't want to necessarily it doesn't
It
want to
doesn't
leave.
need to. It doesn't need to, or doesn't like it doesn't have the same, yeah, like impetus, right?
It's closer to home in matter, right?
Uh-huh.
And
Uh-huh.
you can kind of see a reflection of, I think, of what I'm talking about with the myth with Persephone and Hades abducting Persephone, and he pulls her down into the
Mhm.
underground,
Mhm. Mhm.
and
Yeah.
she's the daughter of Gaia, she's the daughter of Earth.
Mhm. Mhm.
So that's an interesting, like, sort of parallel to ponder. I feel like there's a lot of
Yeah.
mystery here, and in fact, the Eleusinian mysteries were all about dying before you die, essentially
Right.
going to the
Uh-huh.
underworld before you die, right?
Mm. Mhm.
What
Hmm.
supposedly we know that we know very little about it because it's like the best kept secret in history. What they were
Yeah.
up to, you know?
But we have 8th house. We have that story in the 8th house, the underworld before you get to the 7th, which is like the end of life, right? In the house significations. So it's like that underworld
Yeah, it's the
happens
gateway, right?
before the horizon, before the sun sets. Yeah, the
Yeah,
gateway.
the eighth
Yeah.
is the gate into
Uh-huh.
Hades, and
Uh-huh.
then the
And
second
so is the
house is the
2nd
gate out. It's
out
the
of
no, the
Hades. They're
second house is the
both
gate out of Hades.
okay, but they're both considered to be the houses of Hades, right? But one is going in and one is coming out.
One's
Is
the
that,
entry and
yeah.
one's the exit. Yeah,
Okay.
eighth house
Okay,
is
cool.
entry, the
Yeah.
entry gate, and the second house is the exit gate. But
Gotcha.
yeah, essentially, we're talking. That's what we're talking about here, right?
Mhm. Mhm. Yep.
Um, entry and exit into Hades. Well,
Yeah.
it seems to fit, but it also it seems to be more soul. I don't know. It's this is kind
Psyche.
of new for me. It's not new.
Psyche.
It's yeah. It's just where I've been contemplating.
Yeah.
What is Hillman not going on about? Like what it because really archetypal psychology is about soul making. I mean
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
what it is. So
And
what does
psyche
that
means
mean though?
soul. Psyche means soul too. So it's like that's a literal, that
Yeah,
psyche is synonymous with soul. So that's that is the archetypal experience of soul making, is psyche's descent, right?
but
I
that's
mean,
not. But see, the thing is, when you think psychology, you think
mhm.
mind, Athena, air,
Uh-huh.
spirit. You know what
Uh-huh.
I mean? So it's
Yeah,
like
like transcending the troubles of the soul through the power of the intellectual, like, landscape. Like, if you can think, it's like, think you can think your way out of it kind of idea, right? With, like, enough psychology, you can think your way into wholeness or healing, and that just isn't true.
No, you can think your way into your wax wings melting and fall back down to earth. What you can do, you
Right.
know?
Right, and that, and therefore, and I there is, like, the illusion, right? Yeah, yeah.
It's the double-edged sword, right? I mean,
Uh-huh,
it's
uh-huh.
you're gonna cut something and, like, sometimes it needs to be cut, but something's getting cut. I mean,
Mhm, mhm.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
So, but
Mhm.
yeah, soul making for me is very much where I've been, like, really interested in, like, what does that mean? And that's part of the, like, all the lunar work I've been doing, just it's the negative polarity, right? The feminine.
Right. Well, and it's like when you say that, it's interesting because I think in a lot of ways that has been my whole life purpose. It's like,
Really. Explain
yeah.
that some more, like, expand that a little bit.
Well, I think that from the beginning, I mean, part of the whole nature of my sense of purpose in life and my personality has been about uncovering and understanding and evolving as a soul. And so one of the things I noticed about my chart recently, which made a lot of sense, is like, and I know you've always been a writer as well, but to the extent that I've always written the third house, the ruler of my third house is in the 12th house, exalted. And so I've always written in private, like, a lot. And, like, Helene Cixous is one of the feminist theorists who talked about writing the body. And I know this has come up before, but that's always been the feeling of, like, I'm writing my soul. Like, this is a soul practice of, like, making my making my soul, or like, and it's not for what's on paper, it's for the process of and you know this as a writer, and like if you've journaled and stuff, it's like it's for the effects and the results of writing, and how it changes my soul or it evolves my soul, rather than, and so out of rather than just like, I want to write a novel. It's like all of my journals will be hidden in like they'll it doesn't matter. I might burn them all. That part doesn't matter, but I guess the nature of what's come from that as an astrologer, as a thinker, as a writer, like as a lit major, it's like everything in my life as a Kundalini yoga practitioner and then a teacher, it's all been coming from this idea of soul making, and then seeing how and where and when the right time to then share that knowledge with other people about not how to make make them into my soul, but how to help them with their own soul making.
Yeah, the
It's like,
process.
right, right. Yeah.
Huh, and that's interesting to me because that's what Hillman was elucidating or sort of trying to, like, plow a
Illustrate,
path through
illustrating.
psychology.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Yeah, and that's interesting because we met at the same time we both got interested in Hillman, and I
Mhm.
don't know, was he already on your radar, you just hadn't got to it yet? Because I know when we
Yeah.
met, like,
Y
I hadn't read any
yeah.
Hillman, and I don't think had you?
I had
You'd read
read
Soul Code.
the Soul's Code, and it was very important for me and very informative for me, like, it impactful, I guess you could say, but and I knew that he was like this whole kind of branch of Jungian, or response to and in relationship, but I had not my goal was so, like, rooted in kind of like like a deeper understanding of Jung, which I had just not had a chance, like, to go deep into the scholarship of it because of when, the way my life went when I was kind of going in that direction. And then I got, rerouted to South Carolina and then had children. And, it just had been, so the timing was right,
You
I
got
guess you could say.
distracted. When did you
Well,
read the Soul's Code?
it wasn't,
Do you remember? Was it
yeah,
recently?
2000.
Like,
No, it was 2000. And I had read the Soul's Code in 2019.
okay, well, that's pretty
Yeah.
pretty recently. But then
Yeah.
you read it, and then you when was your first child born?
2015. So I
So
had
you were
both
already a
children.
mother,
Yeah, when I found Hillman's Soul's Code, yeah, I was already a mom.
but then you just didn't have time due to distraction to, like, dig into Hillman?
Yeah, I couldn't it's like I couldn't, like, go deep with it because of just the sheer, like, insanity of my south node in my 4th house. Like, I had kids, right, like, literally diapers and food and
Yeah,
cooking
young
and,
kids,
like
yeah, yeah.
yeah, I couldn't sit down and, like, read for
A
I was
Souls
lucky
you
to
can read that book in, like, a day, though, pretty I
yeah.
mean, that's a
Yeah, yeah.
it's great. I'd wanna read it again. I mean, I have it and will read it again probably, but it's not, like, heavy Hillman, you know? It's like
It's not like yeah, right, but and it's just it's the timing of everything and, like, the synchronicity of it and kind of getting deeply back and I mean, I still haven't really scratched the surface like I want to. It's just a constant, like, it's a constant, um, I don't know, process of trying to like explore and then integrate and consolidate and it but it very much is like a large there's a much larger purpose in the reasons that I pursue what I pursue as whether like but it's all for the purpose of like it's for the purpose of service ultimately, you know? Um so yeah.
I think I just put something together for me with what the problem is with Hellenistic astrology and all the rules,
Uh-huh.
right? That's not to me, it's not, imagistic.
Mhm.
None of that really is image, right? I mean, you could put it in image,
The
like, you could
the
look at
myth is
the
there,
thema
the myth.
mundi.
Right, the
You can
myth
look at the
is
thema
there.
mundi, and that's an image, but I'm saying it's not it's image is not defined by rules.
Right, it's poetry, it's more Piscean, and it's poetic.
Well,
It's
and it exists, like, independent of thought,
Mhm. Right,
right?
right.
It can't be in a thought cage of any kind, like, it exists. It's like it's virginal in
Yeah,
that way, right? Like,
yeah,
it's whole
yeah.
to itself, it doesn't mate with anything else. The image is just whole. It is what it is,
Right, yeah.
and I'm very much
Mhm,
enthralled by that. To me, it seems more real, but I've spent so much time in air
mhm.
that maybe that's in the second half of my life. Maybe that's probably part of all the that lunar eclipse that this eclipse season and all the changes I've been going through, you know, it's like rebirthing as a new being, one
Mhm.
that is more in touch with image than word.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah,
But
and
also
therefore soul, and therefore soul.
right, exactly,
Yeah,
because the image is the soul. It
mhm,
belongs to the soul. The image does.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I think tarot, it's,
Yeah.
tarot being interwoven, like having found the mythic tarot at 1819 tarot and contemplative kind of reflection on the symbols and the images and how they show up in our lives and the connection to dreams, which are so personal and like intuitively based, but also tied in with larger mythical like archetypes, it's like all of that connected in a meditative it's ultimately like it's a meditative process, that, does make meaning, but really makes soulful um,
Yeah, by image. Yeah, I never put
through
that together
image.
either with the tarot,
Mhm.
and, I've been noticing here lately that
Mm.
my relationship has shifted with the tarot for, like, the
Hmm.
millionth time. It just
Oh, yeah?
continues to change the
Yeah?
relationship I have, yeah.
How so?
Well, for the longest time, it was always, "Oh, I have to have a question
Mhm, mhm,
and then write it down before I
mhm.
initiate the
Intentionality, yeah.
ritual," you know,
Uh-huh.
of all the ritual I go through, when I deal with tarot. But
Mhm.
here now, lately, like the last, I don't know, maybe month or so, it's like I don't have any questions. I just never
The
have anything to ask.
the mind is quiet.
Well,
Yeah.
it's like I went through
That's
this
just
intense exploratory period, and occasionally
Mhm.
it's not the case. Occasionally, like, I'll be journaling, like, 10 pages or whatever, and then,
Yeah.
like, I've got this big thing I gotta figure out, and I go to the tarot to, like, end it kinda like the discovery of or whatever. That still
Uh-huh.
happens, but I'm saying for the most
Yeah.
part on a
Yeah.
daily basis now, it's more of a I don't even have a question, but I
You're
have
like
this ritual,
yeah.
and I'm not gonna give that up. I don't wanna give that
Cool.
up. And the thing is, it's like it's not the logos, right? It's the image. And
Right,
so what
right.
does it mean to go to the tarot and do a 7-card pull where everything has significations, right? Like each
Mhm,
position means it has a signification. Like the first position is the root. Well, if
uh-huh,
I'm coming to the tarot and I don't have any questions, it's the root of what? So it's almost like my question, I don't have a question, but I just keep doing my reading. And then, okay, here's the root. So my question is the root. And it's almost like, but all of that's just words. And I
mhm,
get these 7 cards and I look at them and it means something to me,
mhm,
but
mhm,
not in words.
mhm,
And that's
mhm.
so new for me because I've spent
Wow,
my whole life defining everything with words,
that's
thinking,
so cool. I love that
yeah.
actually. Yeah,
And
the epiphany of, like, the transformation from this to maybe, like,
yeah,
this. Uh-huh.
it's like I'm a baby though, there,
Mhm,
see? Because
mhm,
I can think, you know, thought
mhm,
like
mhm,
Hermes, you know what I
mhm,
mean? Like
mhm, mhm,
with the best of them. But when it comes to the heart and the soul, I'm like a newborn baby. I don't know what the
right.
fuck is happening. I don't know what I'm doing. I have no idea where I'm going. I don't know what any of it means other than
Mhm,
that it seems important and I'm gonna keep doing
mhm.
it.
And
But
if you thought you knew, then you'd be probably more in the illusory aspect of the mind than you even realize, right? Like if you thought you had some clear, like, logical trajectory that you were in control of, like the emperor, right? Like the structure,
yeah.
you would be in the emperor. You wouldn't be in the empress or in the psyche or the soul.